Hey, what's going on? I'm Mike, and welcome to another episode of Smart Simple Digital. So today I want to talk about fake news because it's something that's a huge problem on the web right now, particularly here on social media. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who are peddling fake news stories to purposely misinform people and to also make money in the process. In many cases, the more likes, the more page views that a lot of these fake news stories gets, that actually translates into money for the people who create these stories. So I want to give you guys three simple steps that you can put into action right now that will help you to determine whether or not the stories that you come across on social media are true or not. So step number one is to read beyond the headlines. So anytime that you come across a story on social media, you see the headline is really attention grabbing, don't just stop there and take it as fact. Actually make an attempt, or just click on the on the article, click on that headline, open up the article and read it. Read it and get a grasp of the facts. So that's step number one. Step number two, pay attention to the details. So if you're reading a story and it's one that maybe this is reported by a blog or a website that's really obscure, you've never heard of it before, but it's reporting this story, pay attention to the details. See if that story links to any outside sources to help to bolster its credibility. Also, pay special attention to the writing. Are there any grammatical errors? Are there typos? Take a look at the tone of the article. Is it written? Does it sound really gossipy? Is it biased? Does it lean really heavily in one direction or another? Now, if any of those things are true, then you might want to proceed with caution. And this rolls into step number three. So step number three is to check the web for other sources. So if you come across a story, and again, it's one that you're just not sure about, too good to be true, it's the first time that you're hearing about it, you haven't heard it reported anywhere else, and you're a little skeptical about it, go to the web, go to Google, Bing, or whatever your search engine of choice is, and actually search for that headline and see what you come up with. And if you see other trusted media outlets reporting on that story, then there's a good chance that it's true, it's credible, and you can proceed from there. And actually go take a look at those sources too, just to verify. On the other hand, if you search for that headline and you just come back with just one or two little obscure, not very well-known blogs that are just reporting on that story, and you haven't seen any credible, any trusted news sites, any major news sites actually reporting on it, there's a good chance that it may not be true, that story may not be true. So if you haven't seen it reported anywhere else, no other trusted sources are reporting on it, it's likely fake. So those are my three steps for determining whether or not a news story is fake. So the tip number one, again, is to read beyond the headlines and get the facts. Step number two is to take a look at the details. And if things just seem off, proceed with caution. And finally, step number three is to check the web for other sources. See if any other trusted media outlets are reporting on that story. And again, if they're not, that story just may not be true. So those are my steps. If you have any personal tips that you've used in the past or any experiences that you've had with fake news, go ahead and mention them down in the comments. And I will see you next time.